So a lot of us think our rights are being violated when we go to an airport and have to get screened by security and have things seized from us. Let's talk about maritime laws and can you bring a firearm on a cruise ship? So first we're just going to go over the research. So it's highly suggested that you absolutely cannot carry a firearm on a commercial cruise ship, even in international waters, because all major cruise lines have strict non-negotiable bans on all weapons, including knives and mace. Overriding any personal permits or local laws, bringing one results in confiscation, denied boarding, and potential criminal charges, as only ship security personnel are authorized to carry weapons, and maritime laws are vary significantly by country, making compliance nearly impossible and risky. Why are firearms banned on cruise ships? See, here's where it gets tricky. Just like when you go to the airport to fly, the same thing applies to when you board a cruise ship. You are doing so voluntarily. It's not something mandated by the government. Therefore, even if you come to my house, as much of a gun person as I am, and I say no firearms in my house, I'm not violating your constitutional right. My property, my rules. So on a cruise ship, the same thing applies. Here's where it gets sticky. So the first thing is company policy. Private cruise lines have their own security policies that prohibit all firearms and weapons regardless of your concealed carry permit laws. Ships travel through many countries, each with drastically different, often strict firearm laws. It's impractical and dangerous to comply with all of them. There are security risks. The presence of weapons poses a significant risk leading to potential misuse or theft. Yeah, we get that, but that goes with owning a firearm in general. If you bring a firearm on a cruise ship, it may be seized. You may be denied boarding. There may be legal penalties. So here's where it gets sticky. Legal penalties? So private boats on international waters. So again, when you're on international waters, you're not associated to a state or country. So therefore, how are laws enforced? There are no laws. You're on international waters. Let's get into that. For private vessels, maritime law generally follows the laws of the ship's flag country, but you still need permits for every country you visit. Country-specific laws. Countries like Mexico, Australia, the Bahamas have specific strict rules requiring prior permits or mandatory confiscation by local authorities, making it complex. So in a nutshell, basically, when you're on international waters, the reason why it's sticky is because you can be entering several different countries' jurisdiction. Now, the ship's registered country and state is where those general firearms laws would apply. But now let's get into maritime laws, or laws of international waters. The high seas are enforced primarily by the vessel's flag state, its country of registration, through its Navy or Coast Guard, but other nations can intervene for specific international crimes like piracy and human trafficking under the universal jurisdiction or flag state consent with the International Maritime Organization, IMO. Enforcement relies on flag state responsibility and cooperation, making it complex due to vast ocean expanses and varying national interests. Primary jurisdiction, the flag state. The responsibility. The country where the ship is registered has primary responsibility of enforcing laws on that vessel, even in international waters. There are exceptions and other enforcement powers. Piracy and slave trade. Any nation can intercept pirates on the high seas under the principle of universal jurisdiction. Stateless vessels. If a ship flies no flag or a false flag, any nation can stop and inspect it. For severe offenses like human trafficking or crimes against humanity, any nation can claim authority and prosecute. Contiguous zone. A coastal state can enforce customs, fiscal, immigration, and sanitation laws up to 24 nautical miles from its coast. Some of the challenges are patrolling the immense area of the high seas is very difficult. Coordination. Enforcing laws across different national legal systems can be very complex. So to summarize, If the cruise line that you're on is privately owned, obviously it's not owned by the federal government, they have a duty to enforce that ship's state and federal laws pertaining to firearms, let's say. But if you're on international waters and you float up on Argentina, it seems like Argentina can enforce their laws on your vessel. Who's to say who can stop who? Who can enforce whose laws? Who can't enforce what laws on international waters? International waters means there's no laws. Or you're crossing into multiple jurisdictions of laws. You see where this gets tricky? So my question is, would you bring a firearm on a cruise ship? Do they have metal detectors? I don't know. I've never been on one. But at the end of the day, it sounds like something pretty hard to manage, wouldn't you say? Would you risk it? And can you be prosecuted? Let's say the ship's security personnel discovers you have a firearm in Argentina. Most of the time, the location of the crime is who has jurisdiction. But then let's say you're floating away from Argentina, where this incident was discovered. You see where this gets tricky? Let me know your thoughts. What would you do?